You walk up to the pharmacy counter, there's no line, nobody ahead of you, you hand over your prescription. Or, more likely, your doctor already sent it electronically before you even left the office. The person behind the counter taps a few keys and says, "It'll be about 20 minutes, or worse, come back tomorrow." And you stand there thinking 20 minutes. For what? There's no one here. It feels like the most pointless wait in all of healthcare. But behind that quiet counter is one of the busiest hidden production lines you'll ever not see. Let me show you what's actually happening. Here's the trick your eyes are playing on you. The counter is the only part of the pharmacy you can see, but it's the tip of a much bigger operation. The pharmacy team isn't waiting around for walk-in customers. They're working through a constant, invisible backlog. Prescriptions flooding in electronically from doctors all over town. Phone-in refills, drive-thru orders, insurance problems from an hour ago that are still unresolved. When you walk up, you're not next in line. You're joining a queue you simply can't see, and every single item in it has to move through the same handful of steps. So let's answer it like an operator. Why does filling a simple prescription take 20 minutes or a whole day, even when the pharmacy looks empty? It's not that anyone's slow. It's that between your doctor writing the prescription and you holding the bottle, that little box of pills has to pass through a gauntlet, a data check, an insurance battle, a safety review, the actual filling, and a final check by the pharmacist. Most of it has nothing to do with counting pills. Let me walk you through the assembly line. Here's a simplified version of what a prescription usually goes through. First, someone enters it into the system: patient, drug, dose, insurance. Second, if you're using insurance, the pharmacy bills your plan and waits for an answer. Third, a safety review, called a drug utilization review, screens it against the other medicines the pharmacy knows you take. And the pharmacist has to review and clear any warnings it flags. Fourth, it's actually filled, counted, poured, labeled. And fifth, the pharmacist personally checks it before it leaves. Notice something. Only step 4 is what most people picture when they think filling a prescription. The other 4 are invisible from the waiting room. And here's the key. Most of your everyday 20 minutes isn't any single step. It's waiting your turn in a queue you can't see for a small team running all 5 steps hundreds of times a day. So if a clean prescription is mostly just waiting its turn, where did that hidden queue come from? And why is it always full? The answer starts with a quiet revolution you never actually saw. First, understand how the queue got invisible. Back in 2008, only about 7% of prescribers sent prescriptions electronically. By 2020, it was around 92%, roughly 9 in 10. That's a good thing. It cuts errors from bad handwriting. But it also means prescriptions now arrive silently, in a steady digital stream, all day long. The line didn't disappear. It just moved off the counter and onto a screen you can't see. The scale of that hidden stream is enormous. In a single year, just one of the networks that carries these messages processed over 30 billion transactions. Electronic prescriptions, insurance checks, refill requests, and more. Billions of quiet digital handshakes flowing behind the counter. So when the lobby looks empty, the system behind it almost never is. And all of those streams converge on the same small team, usually a pharmacist and a technician or two. The technicians handle much of the intake, the billing and the filling. The pharmacist runs the clinical checks and the final sign-off. Electronic prescriptions from every doctor's office in the area. Phone and app refills, the drive-thru lane, and a stack of insurance problems from earlier in the day still waiting on a callback. The customer standing at the counter is just one stream among many, and often not the most urgent. A full queue like that explains the everyday 20 minutes. But to explain "come back tomorrow," you have to go back to step 2, insurance. When the pharmacy bills your insurance, the claim shoots off to your pharmacy benefit manager, your PBM, and an answer comes back in seconds. Sometimes it's approved and you're golden, but sometimes it bounces back rejected, meaning the plan won't pay for it as submitted. Maybe the drug isn't covered. Maybe it's too soon for a refill. Maybe it needs special approval first. Resolving that often means getting on the phone with the insurer. or calling your doctor's office for a covered alternative. That's not a 20-minute problem. That can be a 20-hour one, and it's the real reason a fill turns into come back tomorrow. The worst version of this is called prior authorization, when the insurer demands the doctor justify the prescription before it will pay. And this is a doctor's office burden as much as a pharmacy one. By the American Medical Association survey, a single physician faces around 39 of these requests a week, eating up about 13 hours of staff time. So while you're standing at the pharmacy counter, the real holdup might be a form sitting in a queue at your doctor's office, waiting on an insurance reviewer you will never meet. And here's the maddening part. When these denials do get appealed, most of them get reversed. In an analysis of Medicare Advantage prior authorization denials, over 80% of the ones that were appealed ended up overturned. Now, most denials are never appealed at all, and some get reversed only after the doctor sends in more paperwork. So this isn't proof the system rubber stamps everything. But it does tell you this: when a patient or doctor actually has the time to fight a denial, they usually win, which is exactly why the delay feels so pointless when it lands on you. So the empty counter isn't the whole story. It's the visible end of a relay race between four parties: the pharmacy, your insurer's PBM, your doctor's office, and you. Any one of them can stall the baton, and because the pharmacy is the last stop, the most visible face, it's the one that absorbs your frustration, even when the holdup is happening 2 phone calls away. It's rarely the pharmacist being slow, it's the system being complicated. Layer on top of all this the sheer volume. The average independent pharmacy fills around 67,000 prescriptions a year, which averages out to roughly 185 a day from one location. And busy chain stores, by some workload estimates, run far higher. Each one has to clear all 5 steps. So even when your prescription hits no snags at all, it's joining a steady all-day flow through the same small team. Which brings up the part nobody at the counter can see. The pharmacy is very often short-staffed. And that's not a small footnote, it's a safety issue. In 2023, pharmacy staff at some of the biggest chains actually walked off the job, protesting workloads they said made it impossible to work safely. At the time, there were something like 30,000 open pharmacy technician jobs and 7,500 open pharmacist positions across the country. Stores were being run by a single pharmacist on 12-hour shifts. And in surveys, roughly 3 out of 4 pharmacy staff said they didn't have enough time to do their jobs safely. This isn't about one company, it's a strain across the whole industry. And it's the quiet reality behind come back tomorrow. And speed has a real cost. One older workload analysis found that as the number of prescriptions filled per hour climbed, the risk of a dangerous dispensing error climbed with it, on the order of a few % for each extra script per hour. It's a single association, not an ironclad law, but the direction is the point. Rushing a pharmacy is not safe. That's why the last step exists. In most states, the pharmacist has to personally check the right drug, the right dose, the right patient before it leaves. Part of your 20-minute wait isn't waste. It's the check you actually want them to slow down for. How common are errors overall? It's genuinely hard to pin down. Estimates vary a lot depending on how you measure. One older pooled analysis put dispensing discrepancies at around 1.5% of prescriptions. And to be clear, that counts every kind of mismatch, most of them minor and caught, not 1 in 60 dangerous events. It's a rough, dated figure, not a precise modern rate. The exact number matters less than the direction. Errors aren't zero, and the studies point the same way. They climb when the people filling your prescription are rushed and overloaded. That's the case for the wait. So it's worth separating the 2 halves of that wait. Some of it genuinely is friction we should fix: insurance rejections, understaffing, a backlog that never quite clears. But some of it is the system working exactly as it should. A trained professional refusing to hand you a medication until they've checked it's the right drug and dose for you and cleared the risks they can see. You want that part done carefully. The goal isn't to erase the 20 minutes, it's to cut the wasteful half and protect the safe half. So what actually helps? A lot of it is catching problems earlier. New tools can let your doctor see, right in the exam room, an estimate of whether your insurance will cover a drug and what it'll cost, before the prescription is ever sent, heading off some rejections before they reach the pharmacy queue. For many people, lining up refills to one monthly pickup or getting 90-day supplies means fewer trips. And, bluntly, staffing pharmacies well enough that the person doing your safety check isn't drowning. After the 2023 walkouts, at least one major chain dropped the speed-based staff quotas that had made it worse. So put it together. The pharmacy takes 20 minutes in an empty store because you've walked into the middle of a hidden non-stop queue. Because your insurance can reject the claim and send everyone chasing phone calls, turning 20 minutes into a day. Because one short-staffed team is running all 5 steps for hundreds of prescriptions at once. And because the last step, a pharmacist personally checking the right drug, the right dose, the right patient, is a safety check you don't want rushed. 4 reasons, only the last one is supposed to be slow. The empty counter was never the whole story. If you want the operator's view of how healthcare actually works, the systems behind the headlines, in plain English, the breakdowns are at shanewelter.com/free. We keep bumping into the same character in this series, the insurance company deciding what's covered, what's rejected, what needs approval. So next, we go inside one. What does a health insurance company actually do all day? It's stranger and more mechanical than you'd think. That one's next.